for anyone that doesn't know me, hi, my name is AJ. I was Miss Missouri Volunteer 2024, so a little over a year ago. And now I'm on the Miss Missouri Volunteer Board. I'm our contestant manager. And tonight I have the lovely pleasure of talking to our two Miss Volunteer America national title holders, Izzy and Lauren. So to start us off, Izzy and Lauren, can you guys just start by just talking about your journey to becoming national title holders in the Miss Volunteer America system, kind of what your pageant journey story kind of looked like, and anything you want to share, kind of introduce yourself.
Do you want to go first? Or do you
Sure.
want me
I was about to say, who wants to go first? I got
to?
it. All right. Perfect. Hey, everyone. My name is Izzy Karnes. I'm Miss Teen Volunteer America. I was crowned back in March. It's been quite the whirlwind of a year, but it's been so exciting. So, a little bit about my pageant journey. I actually was the person who said I would never in a million years compete in a pageant that had talent. I was very apprehensive to that. And I just would always tell people I don't have a talent. So, plain and simple, I can't compete in a pageant that has talent. But I guess whenever I started to learn more about the Volunteer America program, I started to see that it really did align with everything that I wanted to represent as a title holder. I love the volunteer aspect. I have always been super passionate about volunteering in my community. And I feel like that's kind of why I got involved in pageantry in the first place. Whereas some people get involved in pageantry and then decide that they want to start volunteering from there. I always had a passion for volunteering. And, either way is great. But I also really love the empowerment aspect. I love the scholarship and the sisterhood aspect. Really, everything about the organization just drew me in towards it. And so I kind of took that leap of faith. I signed up for my very first year at Miss Mississippi Volunteer because I'm from Mississippi. And I placed first runner up that year, which was so exciting, so huge for me. And I knew that I wanted to go back. So I went back my second year and won. And my process of going to nationals, I really did hit the ground running. I poured everything into my year so that I could get to nationals and know that I did everything that I could so I could be proud of myself. Whether I didn't make the top 15 or I walked away with the crown, I knew that I did everything that I could in that process. And I think that that's kind of the way to approach pageantry in the long run because you get more out of it if you pour more into it. So it really has been so much fun. I have absolutely loved every single second of being involved with this organization. The people are incredible. And Lauren has a great journey too. So let's go ahead and hear from her too.
Okay, hi y'all. I'm Lauren. I'm Miss Volunteer America. And my pageant journey started probably about 3, maybe 4 years ago. I'm not very saturated in the pageant world. I Fun fact about me, I've never competed at a local title for a local title in my life. I kind of just, right when I decided I was starting pageantry, I jumped right into the big guns. And again, just like Izzy, I truly fell in love with it. I knew that it was something that I was good at. At my first pageant, I ended up winning the interview and the onstage question award. And so that was huge for me because at the time I was a junior in high school. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my career. And that really set the stage for me because I found out that I'm good at networking. I'm good at talking to people. I'm good at interviewing. And I found my love for business. And that is currently what I'm studying. I'm studying finance right now in college. And pageantry really gave me that boost of this is what you're good at. And so you're going to find yourself a little bit. So obviously got bit by the pageant bug, competed in a year later, competed in another system and was given the title of first runner up. And if you've been first runner up, you kind of know that it's a very rewarding, but also a very hard spot to be, especially when you feel like you kind of got that little taste of victory in a sense. At that time, I was 18 years old. So I was aging out of the teen portion of competition, which is a little hard. Sometimes you feel like there's a little bit of a safety net when you're in the teen competition. And so I was very scared. I didn't feel like I was ready to step into the Miss role at 18 years old because I was still a teenager, right? And so it was I think I was just mentally, it was hard for me to get over that barrier. I then had the Miss Utah volunteer director sit in my living room and she basically just said, I don't think you see yourself the way that others see you. And I think that you are so much more capable than you give yourself credit for. And I kind of sat there and realized that my heart aligned perfectly with the Miss Volunteer America organization, all that it stands for. And whether or not I competed and won, I was just going to go for it and I had nothing to lose at the end of the day, right? I had only things to gain. So I competed at Miss Utah Volunteer, won my first time. And as far as preparation, similar to Izzy, what you put into it is what you're gonna get out of it. I had the mindset that I literally only have things to prove. I have nothing to lose in this case. And so I decided that as a Western state that doesn't have much representation except Alexa Knudsen, that I was going to work with St. Jude and I was going to work with the Salvation Army harder than any of the past title holders have. And so I really just put my heart and soul into it. And when you find your passion, it's really easy to just crank all your energy and time into it. So leading up to pageant week, I just felt really at peace. I was really ready to be where I was. And then just represent everything that I stood for on that national stage. And luckily I came home with the crown, but I think whether or not I did, I would have just had the most incredible time because I was pleasant with myself. I was happy with myself and I did everything that I could at the end of the day.
Yay, thank you both. I also forgot to say before we started, we'll have time for questions from anybody that has them at the end. So I have a bunch of questions for Izzy and Lauren, but if you have any that we have not touched on, we'll be able to talk about those at the end. Lauren, I love that you mentioned the business part of it. I think that's something that people don't think about when they think of pageants. They think of like the glitz and the glam, but really like it is a launching pad for business. Absolutely. Whether that is like St. Jude, like I know you were the top fundraiser for St. Jude this year and like raised it's so much money, or whether it's your personal serve initiative that you represent. That is definitely one of my favorite parts, like that I got out of it as well. So I just love that you touched on that. Cool. So next, we're gonna jump into the national pageant. I want both of you guys to share your favorite memory from your respective national pageant weeks, because I know there's so much that happens. So just favorite memory, even though it might be hard to pick.
Okay, I'll start. It may be a little bit too obvious, but I think winning the national pageant, that has to go down in the books as the best moment from the week. That night was such a whirlwind, so I'll give you a little bit of a rundown of what that looks like. So I won the pageant, and then after that, you take about 1,000 pictures, so many that your face is hurting. But I mean, I couldn't stop smiling anyway, so we might as well have been taking photos the whole night because that smile was not going to be wiped off my face for the next entire week. Like I seriously was on cloud nine for the longest time. But then after that, we were rushed back, or for me, I was rushed back into the dressing room, and the sweetest ladies volunteer in the dressing room. They are truly so, so kind, and they were there for me every single step of the week. So to get to celebrate that moment with them, they were helping me change and get all of my stuff together because we have a little party afterwards. And I also remember whenever I got back to my little station, there were notes on my mirror from some of my fellow contestants just kind of telling me that they wish me well in my year and they love me and they're proud of me. And that really does mean so much. And I think that that kind of encapsulates the type of people that are in the Miss Volunteer America program. So then we went to the party, and y'all, this is not just any party. This is a really, really amazing party. Like we got down, we had so much fun. We were dancing. They played the good music. So it was a really great party. And then whenever I was leaving the party, we all crammed into a small car, and it was like me sitting on top of my sister queen from my state, Laurel, and then my directors were there and my family was there, and we were squeezed in there so tightly. And for any of you who know, as Miss Mississippi Teen Volunteer, I was a representative of the drive program, which is essentially just safe driving practices. And that night, safe driving practices were not being practiced. Like we were just on cloud nine. We were having the best night. And then whenever I got back to the hotel, we had a steak dinner, and I was awarded with so many prizes in my hotel room. So it really was just the best evening. I think it will forever go down in the history books as one of the best nights of my life.
Okay, I will say crowning moment is definitely like I don't know. It's an indescribable feeling. But throughout the pageant week, my favorite moments, it has to be a few just because there's too many stories not to. But it's so cliche. And I know it's so cliche, and some of you might roll your eyes because it's so cliche, but it's literally the girls. I had the best time of my life. I was so terrified walking into my hotel room because you get paired with basically a stash sister that you get to share the week with. And mine was Miss Alabama volunteer. I'm 19 years old. Okay. She's 25. And I was like, you just graduated law school. I just finished my first semester in college. And so or first year in college, I was terrified because I really thought that um, she was just this beautiful, like she literally looks like Angelina Jolie, like beautiful woman. And that first night, we get all giddy. We're watching the Miss Utah America pageant on our beds, just laughing like our heads off. We showed each other our evening gowns because we just couldn't handle it. Like we had the best time. And then she ended up winning a swimsuit preliminary. So throughout the week, when she won that, we had a party in our hotel room that night. Like I wasn't even upset that I didn't win anything that night. I was just so immensely happy for her because of the friendship that we had curated and just the bond that we had. It was so much fun. We stayed up every night later than we should have talking. And then not only that is I had two other really good friends throughout the week. One was actually Laurel. And we were at the movie theater with our little princesses, and I had two princesses, and one of them just hadn't come to Jackson yet. And so we had only had two seats, so the seat I was in and my little princess's seat, and then Laurel and her princess were right there. Well, magically throughout the movie, my princess shows up, and we're booked, there's no space, and I was not about to make this little girl share a seat. So me and Laura look at each other, and I hopped in her seat and we cuddled the whole movie. When in reality, two little girls probably could have shared a seat better than two adults. But it was really just so much fun to get to meet people all across the country and understand that they're just a girl like you, and how incredibly smart and, I mean, achieved these girls are. It's really incredible. And so I know it's so cliche to say that your friendships are your favorite part of the week, but it really was. And I'm so thankful for those friendships that I'm still able to stay in contact with and celebrate their success as well.
I love that's making me literally so nostalgic because the friendships were my favorite part when I was at Miss Volunteer America 2 years ago. And even 2 years ago, I still talk to my roommate like almost every single day. And like so many of the girls, we talk all the time. And so it's true, like those bonds are it's just an experience you never have with anybody. And so the fact that like you get to share it with 50 other random strangers and like just become sisters, it's so, so real. Awesome. So, talking after your reign, after your big crowning night, Izzy, you mentioned all the gifts that you get from the Miss Volunteer America program and all the amazing sponsors that you get to work with during your year as a national title holder. So, can you just talk a little bit about just one of your favorite Miss Volunteer America sponsors that you've worked with throughout the year, and not necessarily our national partners, because I know both of you guys are very passionate about our national partners. That's our next question. So we're talking specifically a sponsor that you've worked with that you've just really enjoyed working with this year.
Yeah, so we have some really incredible clothing sponsors, which I don't like to wear an outfit 2 times in a row. So I am a big fan of this sponsorship. So Lasting Impressions and Joann's are two of our really big sponsors, and they will always dress us in Sherry Hill, whether we're doing a photo shoot or going to an event. I know Lauren and I both just got to go to Miss Teen USA and Miss USA, and we were dressed by those clothing sponsors. So I'm so extremely grateful. They always keep us looking so good. But we also have Lux, and I love them so much. Sammy, who is actually the Miss Alabama volunteer director, owns Lux Style, and he will send us outfits like spoils us to the max. I never have to wonder what kind of business casual outfit I'll need because I've got it in my closet from Sammy. Seriously, the best. I'm truly so thankful for our clothing sponsors.
Well, dang it, because mine was definitely going to be Joanne's too. Um, we have, I don't know if we can really pick because everyone just spoils us completely rotten. And I know the DoubleTree is one that I am so thankful for because I mean, you guys, I'm across the country. Me and Izzy have seen each other twice since I've been crowned, and we just missed each other in Reno. And I was so upset because she was boarding her flight right as I was calling her to see if she was still there. But um, the DoubleTree in Jackson, Tennessee really treats us like queens whenever we're there. They always will provide a room for us. I know Izzy and I are both going back there in November, and they're just completely sponsoring our stay, which is so incredible. And touching base on Joanne's, I mean, the Paige Dennis knows what she's doing and she loves her volunteer girls. I know for some at-large states, she'll provide a little sponsorship for them so that they can get their gown from Joanne's and have a nice gown to wear on a national stage, even if they don't have some directors behind their back helping them. And she even does it for states that do have pageant directors, but may not have a dress sponsor. And so she's really generous in what she gives. She was so generous enough to actually fly me out for New York Fashion Week, provided me a hotel room, provided me with a photo, like 2 photo shoots, and took and dressed me to the Sherry Hill New York Fashion Week show. And so we just have so many incredible sponsors. And it's not that they're sponsoring us with so many goodies, it's that they genuinely love their girls. And I've just been overwhelmed with so much love and support throughout my year. And I'm literally only 4 months in. So I know Izzy can attest to that. They really just, they want to make us happy, and they see the potential that this program does. So they really pour all that they can into it.
I love that. What I love about our national sponsors is that they also work with our state title holders as well. Like I know Lux provides, I forgot what the discount is, but I know there's a discount that's provided to all volunteer state title holders as well, because I got a couple dresses during my year of service from Lux and I love them. And Joanne's is one of our dress sponsors for Miss Missouri Volunteers. So I love that from a national level to a state level, those sponsors are so generous, like you both said. So now moving on to our national partners, because I know you both do incredible work with St. Jude and Salvation Army, or Miss Volunteer America national partners. So what is one of your favorite memories that you've made this year as a national title holder with one of our national partners or both St. Jude and Salvation Army?
Yeah, so I actually had the privilege of being on the St. Jude Leadership Society Miss Teen Volunteer America cohort as a state title holder. And that was really exciting. I got to spend all of my Sundays on a Zoom call with our other members of the cohort, learning more about St. Jude, learning about how to be a leader in our communities. And I think that it was just a really great program to be a part of, to learn more about our national partner and also connect with other volunteer title holders. And after I was crowned in July, we had the opportunity to go to the St. Jude Leadership Experience in Memphis, Tennessee, which is where the hospital is at. And it was at the Peabody Hotel, which is really cool. It has all the history and the ducks. So that was fun getting to see all those. But we also got to reunite with some of the other members of the cohort and go to the hospital, learn a little bit more about it. And that's one of those feelings being on the campus of St. Jude. You actually get to really see firsthand their impact and the ways that they're making a difference in people's lives. It was an emotional week. I did get teared up a couple times because they truly are so incredible and they're serving so selflessly. But I love St. Jude, and I'm hoping to also be a part of the cohort again this year and to kind of serve as a mentor for some of our other state delegates and local title holders that will join. So hopefully I will be announcing when that will open up here in the next couple weeks. I'm super excited for that.
Okay, so I don't think I can even choose one. Both of them have a very special place in my heart. And like I said before, I mean, going into going into the role of Miss Utah volunteer, having had no relationships with either, I really worked hard to get our reps in contact with the Miss Utah volunteer board and everything. And so I really got to know them one-on-one and understand their purpose and their vision. Um, as far as St. Jude goes, I mean, my first event as Miss Utah volunteer was actually to Primary Children's Hospital. And it was literally maybe 18 hours after I had won that I visited. And so I said it was only right to, after I won Miss Volunteer America, to visit St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And I did just that. I got a tour and I got to really see what all my time and my fundraising had poured into. I have met so many incredible families along the way, and I was just at one of their St. Jude walk and runs maybe like 3 weeks ago, and one of the families that was in Utah recognized me, and the little girl just came up and hugged me, and I think that really reminded me of why I do what I do and why I pour so much of what I do into this organization. And so obviously I raised $13,000 for them, and that was so special, but I think the meaning behind it was more miraculous than the money that I raised. And then as far as the Salvation Army, I have gotten so many incredible opportunities with them. My first travel experience as Miss Volunteer America, I was able to go to Washington, D.C., meet at the headquarters, officially get to meet everyone that I had been in contact with but never met their faces before. And I was able to go serve at a domestic violence shelter that houses women and children. And I was able to go repaint the walls and also get my hands dirty and see what everything is going towards and what we are helping and what this mission truly embodies. And then in December, I will actually be going back to Washington, D.C. to do the National Commander Red Kettle Challenge, which we are encouraging all our state and local title holders to participate in. And so I'll get to be with the National Commander and work hand in hand again with the Salvation Army. And every time I meet with any of our national partners, I mean, your heart really just, it grows room for them, because they are the most selfless, most deserving, most kind-hearted people you will ever meet, and they're in it for the right reason.
Yes, I love that. I did the National Red Kettle Challenge last year with our Salvation Army Midland chapter here in Missouri. It was so fun. It was like I think it was Facebook Live, however they were streaming it with Berkeley, who was our former Miss Volunteer America, and kind of we did that together and see her. And so for any local title holders that are on here, it is almost bell ringing season. If you're in Missouri, you're going to be hearing from me very soon about bell ringing opportunities because we love them so, so, so much. Truly, like one of my favorite things from last year. And then Izzy, I don't know if you know the date. I know you said it were going to be announced soon, but I just thinking back to, I remember when I had won my state title in January 2 years ago. The like our teen was still able to join the leadership summit. Is that still like true? Like if they are they're crowned in January, could they still hop onto that?
Yeah, I'd have to double check, but last year I worked it out where one of our local title holders wanted to join. I think it was in like May
Okay,
or something, and they let her join, and she just had to go watch some of the other like pre-recorded videos. But I think it opens up in December, so
okay,
your new title holders won't be too late jumping
cool.
on if they would like to.
Perfect. That's something because I know like because they get crowned in January and then your their competition is in March. So it's a very quick
Yeah.
turnaround, but that's something that
It's a
like I
very
know we
quick
really encourage them to get involved with though, because it's
Mhm.
such a really incredible experience.
Yes.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, so turning kind of turning over to the areas of competition, two-parter question here for each of you. What is your favorite area of competition? And what would you say was an area of competition that kind of like challenged you the most, that you kind of had to like work a little harder for the national pageant, but kind of how that like helped you grow in preparation?
Yeah, so I started pageantry whenever I was in the ninth grade, and that was a time in my life when I was really insecure. I wouldn't ever go and talk in front of a group of people. I kind of stuck to myself and isolated myself from people. So pageantry was an outlet to kind of help me grow in confidence and get out of my comfort zone. So I would say the interview was something that I struggled with a lot in the beginning. And I've always said that I am not a naturally talented speaker. It's something that I really have had to pour a lot of work into. But now it's become my favorite area of competition. I love getting to go and talk to the judges. I love being able to share the things I'm passionate about and practicing interview to really sharpen my skills. I know I had a couple breakthroughs on the process of getting ready to be at Miss Teen Volunteer America with some of our sponsors in Mississippi, who I think actually Phil Kimmy is a sponsor for you guys. I think he's incredible. I had a really great breakthrough with him. I just started sobbing in front of him. He was like, "This is great." He was so proud of me. It's so funny how that works out. But in the area of competition, I mean, I had to really work hard for interview, but another area of competition that I had to work hard for on the journey to getting to Miss Teen Volunteer America was talent. I have always said, like I said earlier, that I didn't have a talent. And so it was always something of like, I really had to trust in God and believe that I could do anything for 90 seconds whenever I was preparing for talent. So that was something I really had to work towards, but I did really improve leaps and bounds by the time I got to nationals. And I always say that it doesn't have to be a 10, it just has to be consistent. So if you can just get it consistent, then it works. It's only 25%.
For me, interview definitely has been my favorite. And um, for me, interview was something that naturally it kind of clicked. And that's when I mean, guys, before I stepped into pageantry, I literally thought I was going to be an FBI agent. And I'm not like, that's not a joke. I genuinely thought that that's what I was going to be. Stepped into the pageant world, did interviews, really learned that I was so good at them. And then the business part in me was just like inspired. And now that's kind of taken over my life. So interview has definitely been the part that's been the most inspiring for me. And it really just allows me to connect with the judges on a personal level and explain my story, explain why I am who I am, where it started, where I'm going, and all the ambitions that little Lauren used to have and the dreams that she's going to accomplish. And so the interview portion has always been my favorite and probably will continue to be my favorite forever and ever. The hardest part was definitely fitness. And I've grown up as a dancer my whole life. I started when I was 2 years old. I was competitive for literally majority of my life. I was on my high school drill team. I had won national titles and state title holders, state titles with the dance world. And so I've always been physically fit, but dancer fit is a lot different than like bodybuilder fit. And so there was a lot of parts of myself that I really wanted to change. I had never competed in swimsuit before. I competed at Miss Utah Volunteer. And there was a lot of parts of myself that I wouldn't say I was insecure, but I just didn't love. And I wanted that six pack. I wanted those muscles. And I had to take a second to step back and realize that if I change all this, then my dancing isn't going to be the same as it used to. And so I kind of had to see the trade-off and realize that I need to be focused on fueling my body, making sure it's healthy. And so I changed my mindset and really wanted to showcase a healthy body and my healthy body on stage instead of this toned up girl that wasn't who I was. And don't get me wrong, I know I looked great, but I wasn't the really skinny, really lean girl. I was the dancer bod. And I think it took a lot for me to mentally get there, because us as girls, we know we like to nitpick things and we like to look a certain way and feel a certain way. And so recognizing your strengths and recognizing what you're good at and understanding that fueling your body is the most important thing that you need to be doing when you're prepping for the fitness portion of competition. I loved fitness. I loved my bikini walk. I loved my bikini. But at the end of the day, I know that there probably were girls on that stage that did have a leaner body than I did. So that was definitely, I think, the hardest part for me.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that, because I know it's like a time old phrase, but they say that like swimsuit is one from the neck up. Like it's really just it's so much more mentally, I think, than it is physically. It's that confidence, and same with fitness as well. It's that like it's yeah, I believe the mental work for fitness is like just as important as the physical side of it. Cool. So, still in competition for girls who are new to the Miss Volunteer America system. It's a different system. Every system has different values. Izzy, I know you mentioned like being consistent, because if you are unaware, every area of competition is worth 25% of your score, which is one reason I really love the Miss Volunteer America system, because it really is about consistency. So, from your guys' perspective, and I'm just making sure I read this right from the notes that I wrote down earlier. What do you believe that kind of the judges are looking for in this system? Or what do you think if a title holder was preparing for a state or a national competition, what is something that you would recommend that they work on to be successful in the volunteer system specifically?
this kind of piggybacks off of what Lauren was just talking about, but I really believe that you don't have to fit a mold. You don't have to try and be like the last winner or the winner from a couple years ago, because that's not what they're looking for. They're looking for the girl who will walk into the interview room and be 100% herself and be authentic, because in the end, a title holder who is going out to appearances and is being warm and authentic and having these real conversations with people, she makes people feel welcome, and that's what we want to do. So Miss Volunteer America is still in its years of infancy. It started back in 2020, and we're still trying to grow the organization. So we need title holders who are going to represent the brand well and who are going to make other people feel loved and welcomed and valued. And if you get to go to the national competition, that's exactly what every single staff member makes you feel the entire time that you're there. And it really is something so special that I've never experienced in any other environment. So just learning how to be okay with the imperfections, be okay being yourself. And maybe that means you mess up a couple times, but that doesn't mean that your interview went badly, because I know I have feared that as a perfectionist a couple times. But really, truly, I think the judges are just looking for somebody who's not afraid to be who they are.
You said it perfectly. And the consistency is key through and through. Consistency is always going to be perfection. And I know when I first had the orientation at check-in at Miss Volunteer America, Allison DeMarcus and Scott Hilburn stood on that stand, and they basically told all the title holders what they were looking in a girl. And they were literally saying, we want consistency. We want a girl that can do it all. We want a girl that's well-rounded. And that doesn't mean that they want perfection. They want a girl that's going to put her best efforts forward and try. Because at the end of the day, like Izzy said, this is a very growing program. I mean, we are the 4th national title holders. And so that's very young. And so we're still in like the really important, crucial growing stages where we are wanting to set the mold of what Miss Volunteer America stands for. And it doesn't stand for perfection. It stands for progress, right? So, I mean, I've had plenty of imperfections, but it's nothing that can't be fixed. And so I really do think that when the judges are judging you, they're judging who you are as a person and not what you're showing them, because they can tell when you're trying to give an answer that you think they are going to like. And when you're trying to do a performance that's just simply not you, it's very easy to tell. I mean, we've all probably watched a pageant before where you can kind of just tell. And so I think when Allison DeMarcus was making this organization, she really wanted to put away all the pageant stereotypes and bring in what it truly was meant for, which is creating a launching pad for women to find who they are, to find what they're good at, and to excel in whatever that might be.
I love that you said that consistency is not perfection, it's progress. Like, I feel like I need that written down. That was lovely. I think you guys both explained that so beautifully. Clearly why you're incredible representatives of this organization, and you both represent it so well. Speaking of Miss Volunteer America and kind of life outside of it, how do you think, I know you both are very much still in the swing of your years, but kind of looking at it now, how do you feel that the Miss Volunteer America program has helped set you up for success both in and out of pageantry that will continue on after your year of service is over?
I don't think that I would be who I am today if I hadn't gotten involved in the Miss Volunteer America program. Outside of the fact that you win tons of scholarships, I won a $10,000 scholarship at nationals, and I had all of the scholarships from my years competing at state. So I'm going to graduate completely debt free, which is huge. But outside of that, I feel like it really has prepared me to step into any sort of situation in life and be confident in who I am. So whether that means talking on a Zoom call with you guys or going into a huge presentation of 500 students, because I have done that many times where they weren't paying attention to me during a drive presentation, but I felt confident enough to just keep on going because I knew who I was and what I was rooted in. And then I also feel like I could walk into any sort of job presentation and be prepared. I do social media consulting every now and then for a couple different businesses. And I don't think I ever would have gotten involved in that if it hadn't have been for pageantry, because, we've touched on it a couple of times. It is a business thing. So I really learned how to market myself on social media, preparing for the state competitions and then preparing for the national competition. And so I think it has really shown me what my future career could be degree in social media marketing. And now I have learned that I really love to mentor others and pour into other people who were once in the shoes that I was in. And I don't think that I ever would have had the confidence to do those kind of things if I hadn't have gotten involved and taken that leap of faith in the beginning to just get involved in this program.
I would say the most important lesson that I've learned from being a title holder, whether it was at the state level, especially at the national level, is to take up space. And I think that, especially as a woman in finance, I understand that I'm kind of in a very male dominated field. And so sometimes you walk into a room where you don't feel qualified to be in there. And as a title holder, when you're going on to Capitol Hill and you're talking to state senators, or you are going into this gala where all these donors are paying millions of dollars to this foundation, and you really just feel like, I'm a girl in a crown and I have no space being here. I've really learned to shift my narrative that I deserve to be in every space that I've been placed into. And that is a really important role, whether you are in a sash and crown or whether you might be like, let's just say I go into a meeting where all these people have better resumes than me. That's very likely, but being able to take charge and understand that I deserve to be where I'm at. And if I don't, I'm going to get there. And as a state title holder, I think it was really important for me to shift that narrative and to learn to take up space because I deserve to be in that space.
That was so well said. Wow. Both of you guys. Oh my goodness. Wow. That was like really inspiring even for me, and I'm not even preparing to compete in a pageant. All right. So, kind of going on that with the topic of incredible advice, my last question that I have for you guys before we open up the floor for questions is, what advice do you have for somebody who could be competing in a state or national pageant in the Volunteer America system later this year? Maybe somebody competing to take your role next year.
I would say don't be afraid of the outcome of the pageant. For the first couple years that I was competing in pageants, I was always afraid of, what if I don't win, or what if I don't make the top 5 or achieve a certain placement or do something that I had expected of myself. And one of my favorite songs actually says, "Nobody wins afraid of losing." And I have found that to be so true and such a comfort, because whenever I started to shift my mindset of, okay, I have done everything that I can to prepare, and whether I win this title or I walk away empty handed, I know that my life will be the same the next day. Like, my worth is not found in having a title. It's found in, my faith and in what God says of me. So I think that that really was the biggest shift for me that made the biggest difference. And it allowed me to really ultimately find my most potential. And that's whenever I started to perform better, whenever I started to not care as much if I was to walk away with the crown or not. Obviously, I put in the work and I did what I needed to do to get to the pageant and to get to, knowing that I am capable of winning, but I also wasn't afraid of not winning. So that really did make the biggest difference. And always carrying with me the quote of, "What God has for you will never pass you by."
I have a few little tips and tricks. First of all, I said it at the beginning of this call, but when you walk on that stage, you really have nothing to lose. You only have things to gain. And so when you're like, just tell yourself that when you're there, because I mean, if you don't take the risk, you're going to lose the chance. And so really leaving everything out there. One of my biggest pieces of advice is that the progress is made right now in the preparation and what's going to take you there. When I was in dance, I was always told that the trophy is won in practice and you just go to the competition to pick it up. Now, call that arrogant, call that what you want. But if you get into the mindset of practice like you've never won and perform like you've never lost, I think you really are going to get in the mindset of, I can really do anything. And so making sure that the preparation is where you're putting your work at, and then the reward is going to be when you're presenting it on that stage. Because I mean, whether you walk away with the crown or not, that doesn't mean you can't walk away with experiences, friendships, opportunities, doors open for you that you've never thought possible. And so really just shifting your mindset other than just winning and seeing what you can get out of it, because what you're going to get out is what you put in, right? And then, I mean, God's timing is perfect. And it's already written in the stars at this point, right? So just know who you are. Does like a crown does not define who you are. And I don't know, just have fun with it. I think I would much rather lose a pageant and have fun than win a pageant knowing I didn't deserve it and knowing I didn't have the best time of my life, because pageants are fun and they're meant to be fun. And this experience is not, I mean, it's serious, but it's not that serious at the end of the day. So really trusting yourself, trusting that you have the ability to win. And if you want it, work for it. Talent may get you through the door, but a hard work ethic is what's going to keep you in the room. And um, I don't know, you guys can do it. You just have to believe in yourself. I can tell you everything that you need to know until you're blue in the face, but unless you really believe it yourself, I think there's not much that me or Izzy or anyone can do for you. And so you really have to find it within yourself to know that this is achievable. And at the end of the day, it's anyone's game.
Absolutely. I love all of that. I'm so happy for everyone that's like here on the call because if this is, you guys are giving such incredible like nuggets of information and advice, which is so good. I will say like mindset is one of the most important things in prepping for a pageant. You can go to the gym all you want, you can practice your talent all you want, but like you were saying, Lauren, if you don't believe that you deserve it and if your mindset is in the right place, then like that all goes out the window. Awesome. So, next we're going to open it up to any questions. I know we talked about a lot, but any questions that anyone else may have. I didn't really think of like a system to do this. I didn't know if anyone was going to have questions because I know we touched on so much. So, if anybody has a question and wants to just unmute, we can do that. And if it gets chaotic, we can kind of start doing hand raising things. But does anybody have a question for Izzy and Lauren? About the Miss Volunteer America system or about their prep or anything.
Hi, my name's Anastasia. I got here a little late. I'm so sorry. I had a violin lesson, but I was wondering, how you, I don't know if you already like answered this, but I was wondering what kind of your routine looked like for prepping for this pageant, while with also trying to balance schoolwork out. Like, I didn't know if you like prioritized, time managed, all that.
Yeah, so I think that the biggest thing for me was staying super organized. So I am a college student, and while I was prepping for Miss Teen Volunteer America, I also was going to college. I wasn't living on campus, so I was commuting. It was a lot of back and forth and a lot of time management. So I would write down literally every single thing in my calendar. Otherwise, I would forget stuff, but it also kept me maintaining a lot of balance. So I was able to schedule in, time for myself, time to spend with my friends, because I also really wanted to prioritize that. But then time for prep. So I would prep for interview multiple times a week. If my mom and I were sitting in the car, I would get her to ask me questions just as we were going down the road, because why not kill the time in the car prepping for the national pageant? You know what I mean? And then closer to the pageant, I asked a dance studio if they would be willing to sponsor me some time to go into their studio and allow me to get in front of the mirror and practice my walks and practice my talent. And I think that that made the biggest difference, because it was such muscle memory for me at that point. And kind of like Lauren was just saying, I could just go out there and do it. And I just got to pick up the trophy. That's all I had to do.
Thank you so much.
For me, girl, I was so busy. I was full-time college student in person. I had two part-time jobs at the time. I was a state title holder and I was prepping for nationals. So I had a lot on my plate. And I've always been the type of person with the mindset of I'm going to make the sacrifices necessary for the things that I want. And so sometimes that did mean canceling plans that I probably wanted to go do. Obviously, like Izzy said, spending time with the people you love and your friends and having time for yourself is very important, because at the end of the day, Miss Volunteer America is not life. It's life, but it's not life. You know what I mean? So, really prioritizing where you are mentally is, I cannot stress that enough. Understand your limits, but also make sure you're pushing yourself, because that's where the growth is going to lie, is when it gets really uncomfortable and it gets really hard. But as far as like managing preparation, listening to your body, I mean, I was a dancer and I was working out. And so your body holds a lot of stress, whether it's mental stress, whether it's physical stress. And so listening to your body is very crucial when you're preparing, because you want to push yourself, but you also don't want to drop dead. So and then yes, staying organized, planning out when you're going to work out, or when you're going to go practice your talent, or when you're going to have some interview prep, or whatever it may be, and making sure that you're holding yourself accountable and sticking to that schedule, because sometimes it's really easy. I mean, I always interview prepped in the mornings with my mom, and girls, sometimes I don't want to get up. Sometimes I really want to stay in bed because I have a 8 a.m. class and I'm getting up at 6 a.m. Let's be honest, we're human. And so I had to hold myself accountable that if I wanted what I did, I had to put the work in to achieve it.
Thank you.
I love that. Interview prep in the morning, I feel like is so important because I feel like more often than not, you are probably going to be interviewing in the morning at your pageant, wherever you go. Awesome. Anybody else have any questions for Lauren and Izzy?
I have a question. As a new director, I'm the new director for Michigan. Can you tell me some of the things that are areas that you really appreciated from um, either during Nationals Week or during the year from your directors or from this national staff that, really helped you and supported you on your journey?
Absolutely. So I had a lot of people in my corner that not just my director, but people on my prep team who really truly cared for me and poured into me a lot. And one thing that made the biggest difference, I think, was starting out the year, we had a brunch the day after we were crowned, and we all just sat down and got to have that initial conversation, get to know each other a little bit, and just kind of break the ice. I was walking into it a little bit nervous, and I was trying to live up to these standards of what I thought they would expect me to be. But really, it just allowed us to break the ice. And then we had phone calls that lasted 2 hours multiple times a week. Like every week leading up to nationals, we were always talking, whether it was about prep, whether it was about my process of preparing for nationals, or just simply about some random thing we saw on Instagram or what we had for dinner the night. Like, we were just talking all of the time, and it felt like we had really become like family. And that, whenever I got to nationals, made the biggest difference, because I knew that I could lean on my entire prep team, and they all showed up for me and were rooting me on. And there's so many incredible people involved in this organization who just, they'll check on you, they care for you, they do the intentional things, and that goes so far in the long run. And I know that I can always turn to them. So just finding those little ways to be intentional, I think, makes the biggest difference and will make your girls feel so loved. And we're so excited to have you as a new director. So thanks for coming on.
Yes, everything Izzy said times two. That is so important. And I also think another thing that my state and national directors do very well is they meet their girl where they're at. And so obviously we can give you some advice, but each girl is going to be different. Sometimes you're going to have a title holder that we can just say it that you don't really clash with. And sometimes you're going to have a title holder that you become best friends with. Me and my director became best friends. We sat in each other. We went to lunch, and it turns into a 6-hour lunch, and we don't stop talking, and we're talking all topics ever. And I've cried in her living room. We've talked. So really just meeting your girl where she's at is going to help her succeed the most. And then, like Izzy said, you kind of just are the backbone. And so checking in with her, making sure that she's doing mentally okay. My directors also really stressed communication, because, and I think this is one thing, like once you get your title holder, really stress just communication, whether or not it's like, hey, I have so much schoolwork, I have exams all week, I'm not going to be able to post at all. And I just want you to know that I'm not slacking. I have a lot on my plate. And so really just communication is going to be key in these situations, especially as a newer state director, is you're not going to get anything done if you don't know where each other are at. So making sure that, I don't know, if you tell her like, hey, I'm going to be busy this week, you can't really, I'm not really going to be easy to reach. Or if she communicates with you, hey, I really want to start reaching out to sponsors, can I have your help on this? Just being very transparent with each other, I think, is going to play a key role in making the year as successful as it can be.
Thank you.
Yeah, really, really well said, both of you. Awesome. And yeah, thank you, Jessica, for being a new director. That's so exciting. Yay. Awesome. Does anybody else have any questions? All of them have been great so far. Yes, Juliana, I see your hand raised.
I just was wondering how you guys might handle any anxiety or nerves when going on stage or in an interview. I know that I sometimes struggle with that, but how do you like flip it into maybe like a positive thing?
Okay, I get really anxious because I am such a perfectionist, and I think that it's normal to have a little bit of nerves. You've probably heard this a million times, but it just means that you care. But one thing that I do, and as silly as it sounds, I love me some affirmations. Before I'm going into my interview room, I'm sitting in that chair and I'm telling myself in my head, I know what I'm about to say. I've got this. It's going to be okay. Just go show them who you are. I'm just pepping myself up in my head. I also think that and I don't know if a lot of people talk about this, but I feel like whenever you're preparing to go into probably interview is where you get the most nervous because that's how I was too. Is having a routine like during your interview morning. So if you're preparing for a mock interview, then maybe that is going and hanging out with your family and your friends and being silly and being who you are and not prepping at all before your mock interviews. Give that a try and then try prepping a bunch before your interview and then sitting down and doing the mock and see which one you feel more comfortable. Like for me, I cannot prep before an interview. Like it throws me off and I get all in my head and all anxious. But if I'm being silly and being myself and hanging out with all my friends before an interview, I do better. So just getting in this routine and knowing exactly what you do before an interview and then translating that over to what you're going to do on the day of your real interview really does make a huge difference. And it helped me a lot and really cured some of my anxiety around it all. But seriously, you have nothing to worry about. Like, it's also good to remember that the judges are just normal people and they're probably half as nervous as you, if not more nervous than you, because it can be a little stressful being on the other side of things.
No, like it literally can be stressful being on the other side of things. I remember when I judged my first pageant, I was sitting there like, oh man, I don't even know who's winning this thing. Like it's genuinely nerve-wracking. So I promise we say that the judges might be more nervous than you and you're kind of just like whatever. No, it's real. Like it truly is so real. It's terrifying being a judge and I know it's terrifying being like I've been in both positions and I understand both. I'm also probably not the right person to ask this question because I'm an adrenaline junkie. And so I love feeling nervous. I love the excitement. So my piece of advice would instead of trying to get rid of the nerves, embrace them because yes, it shows that you care, but it also your body doesn't really recognize the difference between nerves and excitement. And so it could also just mean you're very excited. And so embracing that you're nervous, obviously you don't want to be shaking like a chihuahua, but like make sure you're breathing and make sure that you're just really soaking in the moment because I mean the nerves are kind of my favorite part about it. It shows that I'm in something that's really fun. I'm in something that I'm really passionate about and I'm going to go do something awesome. So that might not be the right approach for you, but for me, I know like I really just try to embrace my nerves because I know that something good is about to happen if I get a little nervous.
Thank you guys so much. This both actually helped me a lot. So thank you.
Awesome. I believe we have time for like one more question if anybody has anything that they want to ask.
Hi, guys. This is Marianne. I just want to thank both of our national title holders. I'm sitting here in awe of how articulate you both are, and you certainly let me know why you won the titles. I really appreciate you for doing this for us tonight, and I look forward to seeing both of you in January.
Thank you for having us. I mean, this was so fun. I love any chance to talk to our girls. So I
I
think
know I could talk for days about how much I have loved this experience. So it's been awesome. Thank you so much, Marianne.
we
Well,
might have
thank
a
you for
question.
sure, and I'll see you guys soon.
Yay. Yes, I believe Jacqueline, you'll be our last question, Jacqueline. I see your hand.
I have kind of a fun one. Just what's your favorite thing you've ever worn as a title holder? It can be state or national.
Okay, this may be a little too obvious, but I probably would have to say my evening gown. Okay, so Lasting Impressions is our state sponsor, and I got to go to the trunk show. And as I got there, they were like, "Hang on, there's a box coming in right now. Nobody's ever tried it on before. Let's try this on. We think this would be so good for you," because I had tried on like a handful of dresses, and I just wasn't. Nothing was giving. So they pulled out this box, and it was complete like wrinkled up, like it had been vacuum sealed, like that thing was super wrinkled. So they steamed it for me and I put it on, and immediately I just knew that that was the dress. And I love it so much. It's completely different than what I thought I was going to wear at the national pageant, but it couldn't have turned out more perfect. And it feels so iconic to me too. I just love it.
Okay, well, I'm gonna do both national and not as just a just a national title holder because my answer is also evening gown. If you've heard anything about my gown was made by Alexa Knutsen's mom, Melissa Knutsen, and the story behind it. I actually work at Ypsilon Dresses. I'm here right now, and they have an annual warehouse sale. So I went to the warehouse sale thinking maybe I'm going to get some inspo. I mean, this was in November of last year, so I was not like really set in stone on what I wanted to wear. And I find this Sherry Couture, and it had red beading at the top, beautiful, and then it had like a satin bottom that was like a mermaid. And I'm not a mermaid girl. Mermaids, I mean, they make me look taller, but I don't really need help with that. And so I was like, I don't know, it's half off. It's cheaper. Like if I buy it today, am I going to hate it tomorrow, or am I going to miss this opportunity to get it half off and regret that I didn't get it? And so I call up Melissa Knutsen because she's on my board. And she goes, Lauren, I'd love to make you a dress. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that. I didn't even think that that was possible. I didn't even know that this was happening. And of course, I'm going to say yes. Who wouldn't? And so I just kind of made something in my head that I thought would look good. I knew I wanted red. And for like 8 months, we just stoned and sized and fit. And I mean, the dress turned out even better than I imagined. Like this dress, I will die in it. I don't know what I'll do in it. I know like when I buy my mansion house that I'm going to live in one day, I'm going to have a walk-in closet, and at the end of the hallway, it's going to be framed with my crown above it. Like I already know. But so that has been my absolute favorite thing, no question. As far as like as a national title holder, Luxe style is insane. I just got a package yesterday, so I actually have not worn it yet, but I just got this black little cocktail, and it has some bow. You've probably seen it on his account. It has some bows on it, and then it's kind of like a plunge neckline. And if you know me, I love a good plunge. And I tried it on last night, and stay tuned for that content because it's really good.
Yay! Oh, I love that.
I look
So
forward
excited
to
to see
seeing it. That sounds cute.
it.
Order from Luxe Style.
Noted.
Yay. Wonderful. Awesome. So it is just about 8 o'clock, which I think sounds like a great time to wrap up. Thank you, Lauren and Izzy, so much for spending your evening with us. We so appreciate it. It means so much. You guys are doing an incredible job as our national title holders and representing Miss Volunteer America so well. We are so thankful for you. I recorded this, so we will have this, I believe, on our Missouri Volunteer Facebook page if anybody wants to watch it later. But yes. Cool. Thank you, Izzy. Thank you, Lauren, so much. And thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I had so much fun.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you guys.
everyone.
We love you, and we'll see you in January.
Yay.
Thank you.